Hello, everyone. Welcome to our interview series with Nature View. Oh my goodness. See, Nature View. All right, redo.
I love it. See
Okay,
it.
that's too funny. Okay. Um, Hello, everyone. Welcome to our interview series for nature-based school founders. I am Megan Duncan, founder of Connected Kids Thrive, a positive behavior guide for nature schools. Today, we have Nat with Wildfire Environmental, and I cannot wait for you to hear everything she has to share. Before we dig in, I just want to let you know we're going to cover three essential questions with Nat today. We are going to talk about what inspired you to get started in your programming to begin with. Number two, what challenges have you overcome? And then number three, what little nuggets of wisdom do you wish you would have known before you started that you can share with our audience? Because our audience is not only nature-based school founders, but it's also educators, it's also parents, and it's also, people who are thinking about starting a nature school. So, with that, please introduce yourself and let us know what inspired you to start this journey.
Hi, I'm Natalie Atkinson. I have a company called Wildfire Environmental, and under that umbrella, we also host children's programming. It's called WildSparks Forest School, and I live in Ontario, Canada. And to speak to the first question there about what has inspired my work, I would have to say that it's rooted in the natural world and in my childhood growing up, and how I really felt that nature was really my teacher, and it taught me how to listen and go within. And it was really it was my teacher, I guess, as a child. And so those moments and times in the natural world really had an impact on myself, and I guess my internal being and makeup, and who I ended up becoming in life, and whatnot. And my connection to the natural world stems from that, and I've taken it forward with me in life. And so I would say that I guess that connection to the natural world has been an inspiration to me. And then also having my children
Hmm.
has added another layer to that for me. And watching them grow up in a different world than I did, and watching that technology is so abundant, and screen time, and less time out in the natural world. I guess I found that I became more aware that that's more of an ongoing problem or issue, that I feel that we are experiencing these days. And I saw that in my children as they've grown up. Um, and it has been very important to me to get them out into the natural world, because I believe that children, it's not that we talk about nature connection, and it's not that children are disconnected from the natural world. They are very connected. They're just not given the opportunities, or the time in nature to experience that connection. So I guess this whole journey in terms of my own connection with the natural world, and having children, and knowing and feeling that's very important for them to experience, and to be a part of, and to feel growing up. Those two elements have come together in me, and spearheaded the importance of building and fostering a forest school and a community of like-minded people.
Wow. So many goodies there. Something that you mentioned that sticks out to me is, yeah, I think you and I and so many of our listeners, most of us got to experience a lot of freedom, a lot of natural world. We got to go just play and build and frolic and forage and all the
Yeah,
things. And a lot of our kiddos don't have access to that. My kiddos
yeah,
didn't have that. We have to purposefully provide
yeah,
time and space so they
yeah,
have that. I get a little frustrated sometimes, like, we've preserved millions and millions of acres of land, for the animals to frolic and forage, and which is great. Absolutely, we should do that. And there's not a lot of places where children can go do that. It's more like, don't build, don't mess up the land. This is for the animals.
Yeah.
This is for them. So, people like you and me and so many of our listeners really trying to find that balance of, yes, protecting land for the animals and
And for us too, and we're all interconnected,
we
right? And
are.
that's I think the nugget that we're losing is that we are losing that understanding that we are all interconnected, you
Yes,
know?
yes.
Yeah.
And how can we expect our children, like many of us here, we want our children to grow up to protect this land
Mhm.
and honor it and love it and feel so connected to it. But how can they do that when they can't really fall in love with it because they can't touch it?
Exactly. Or feel it or
Hold it.
experience it. Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. Yeah. You need to teach them to love it, before you can ask them to protect it too,
Exactly.
So,
Exactly. And it's all about respectfully doing that. And I think
yeah,
both are possible for sure. And
yeah.
the other thing you mentioned was time. I think, and that's what we're all doing here too, is giving kiddos time to
Time.
find themselves, get lost, um,
Yeah, they need
follow,
that. Go
follow.
on a journey,
Yeah.
and then that builds resilience, because then they have to strategize for themselves.
Mm.
It's they're leading their own experience of the situation and testing their own limits and their own boundaries and learning that they can trust themselves.
Yeah.
So, and
That,
their decisions.
yes, and
Yeah.
it's kind of a tricky thing with as having our own schools, having that balance of giving that balance of independence and autonomy, because I
Hmm.
think when kiddos always have eyes on them, they can't do well on their own, not
Yeah,
to the fullest degree, right? They're always,
exactly.
yeah. So,
Yeah.
and when they can't do well on their own, how do they develop self-trust? When they don't
Yeah.
think we can trust them, they can't develop self-trust.
Exactly. And
So,
then they need to go out there and they need to, I mean, not where I'm not talking like climb to the very top of a tree, but they need to push their limits a little bit and see, okay, well, you know what? I did that, but that didn't work out. Okay, let's pivot. Let's try this. And maybe
mhm.
that'll work.
Yeah,
And they
exactly.
need that freedom to make those choices and for those choices not to always play out. And then
And
to
that
revise their strategy.
Yeah, and that leads right into like hardcore high level academics. We want kiddos
Exactly.
to test and push and develop theory
Yeah.
and be okay to
Yeah.
fail and try again. And I think we lock them into this idea they need to make straight A's and stay in a perfect box. And they become if they can become so afraid to step outside the box and
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
design and test. And so that's what the
Yeah.
early years are for. Um, I was looking over your website. You offer all kinds of services to all different ages, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. What,
Mhm.
2 to 12? What was your,
Yeah, pretty well. Yeah, yeah. And then
okay.
I'd like to do like families, like with little ones, and they can just kind of come out and just kind of just be together, like moms and tots and babies, and just kind of, it's beneficial for moms too, just to be out in the natural world, and just
Yes.
go for a hike with other, moms. It's kind of
Yes.
yes.
I think, um, I think that's a huge piece that's missing.
Community too. It's about community
Yes,
as
that's the
well.
exact word I was going to
Yeah.
dive
Yeah.
into.
Yeah.
Parents need community now more than ever, and I think nature
Yeah.
schools are in a perfect place to offer that
Yeah.
in a wide variety or a wide capacity, whether it's just providing this light-hearted togetherness or whether it's really, even training. Because I think
Yeah.
parents actually, we won't go too far down that rabbit hole, but I think parents need training also, just as our staff, just as us, and I think they're willing to do that. But anyways,
Yeah.
providing them that community is so, so essential.
And then sometimes, yeah, the time in nature doesn't necessarily always have to be structured, right?
Mhm.
Just, yeah.
Just get lost. Get lost and find
Yeah.
yourself. That's
Yeah.
so
Exactly.
powerful.
Yeah.
Okay, so question number two. Can you think of a challenge that has either happened and you've overcome or that you're still going through, just something that is really pivotal, pivotal, that you want to just kind of talk about. And really thinking of our audience, just this whole thing is to make sure that we don't feel alone in this work and to make sure others thinking about this, that they're not going to be alone either. So, any challenges that are coming up for you that you want to share about?
Challenges currently. I would say not necessarily currently, but maybe in terms of kind of laying the foundation, I guess some of the challenges I faced, um, were kind of feeling like I needed to have it all set out perfectly. And I had to have it all designed and, have my lessons planned and then I came to the realization that, you know what, it is sometimes you just need to dive in. Sometimes you just need to start somewhere. It doesn't have to be perfect. You don't have to have the perfect programming, right? Um, and then it all kind of evolves organically, it just kind of, like in nature, and
Mm.
it so I would say that that was kind of a challenge knowing how and when to start. And I would say, um, having support as well, just building the community of like-minded people, I think, um, has been very important. And I think that that was a challenge in the beginning, just because sometimes you would run into different situations. And I mean, I'm not saying that, obviously that there are always going to be challenging situations, either with, children and different behaviors, or, families or parents, or various things, right? There's always going to be some wave or something. But I would say in the beginning, building those connections of people that you could just draw on, like, okay, this session didn't go well, or this is what happened. How could I tweak this or that? And how could I do this differently? Because I don't feel like that went really well, Um, and
Yeah.
so I would say that that is very key, is having um, um, just a support team and a community of people doing similar work that you're doing, just so that you can work together, or just bounce ideas off of each other, or just, have a sounding board.
Yes.
I don't know if that answers the
Oh,
question so much.
yes, perfectly. And I think so many of us can resonate with that because when I had my nature school, I had to close it about 9 years ago because
Oh,
I had to move. I'm working on
okay.
something in the background. So not only do I serve nature schools now, but I'm also working on something
Oh,
to
cool.
bring something
Yeah,
to my community. But I remember feeling so alone and isolated. Like
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
providing this amazing space, amazing opportunity for these kiddos and these families, and I am so lonely. Um,
yeah.
we have to
And
be
then you question, am I
careful.
doing the right thing? Am I doing it the right way?
Right.
Is it, and I feel so awesome about this, and I think this is really cool, and I hope other people do,
Yeah. And we
Yeah.
we just have to be careful of the boundaries, getting too close to our parents. We have to be careful of those boundaries and then too
Yeah.
close to our staff.
Hmm.
And unless our partner is like fully embodied in this journey with us, it can feel very, very lonely. So I think a lot of people are going to resonate. So what you've kind of said so far is for this piece is just you don't have to have it perfect to begin. Just follow your heart and go for it. The parents will find you, you'll find your tribe. And then
Exactly. Yeah.
the
Hmm.
other thing
Yeah.
is don't wait to get support also. Dive in, get support and move further faster. Uh
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I agree with you.
And
Okay,
just start. Yeah.
yes.
Yeah.
All
Just
right.
start somewhere. Should I do it? Should I open a forest school? I mean, obviously intentionally work towards it, but
Mm.
sometimes I kind of felt like, well, maybe if I do this, or maybe if I go here, maybe if I go to this seminar, you know what I mean? And then at some
Yeah.
one point it was just like, all right, now you just have to dive in. You just have to start. Like this just,
For
so
for our audience listening, did you start out as a child care or some in a different like methodology or
no, no, just right to forest school. I did
okay,
certification
okay,
through Forest School Canada, Child and Nature Alliance. So I
okay,
did the practitioners programming. So it
okay.
was about a year to complete that programming. So But
Nice.
like I said, I mean, I've done environmental and biological work pretty well since I was in my late teens, right? So being out in the natural world, it comes so naturally to me,
God,
right? But I wanted to take that a step further and start um, getting children out there into it so that they could appreciate it and experience it as well. And I
amazing.
guess that's another thing too, is that in the beginning, I also used to feel like, if I brought children out there, was I doing enough, or was my programming aimed enough at getting them to connect with the natural world and nature? And then I had this pivotal moment where I realized no, children are already connected. And like I said in the beginning, you just have to give them the space. You just have to give them the area. You just have to give them the opportunity. And then something shifts, something just lights up, and they're in the natural world, and then they just change. And it's like, it's like you can trust to let the forest take over in a way, to lead them. So I think that was part of my fear as well, is like, am I going to do enough? Are they going to leave here, and are they going to feel like, connected to the natural world, or will they come away with something meaningful? And
And
that was a fear as well. And I just needed to trust that, no, you know what, nature is actually going to do part of that. you know,
you,
you don't have to control the situation so much, it can
and
let go.
I think a piece of that fear, well, first of all, you mentioned four essential words here: space, time, um, well, nature, of course, but trust.
Connection and trust.
Trust.
Yeah.
Um, it all unfolds so beautifully and naturally. And I think we do feel pressure, like kind of what you were saying too. Are the parents going to feel their kids are getting enough value to continue like investing in their
Yeah,
education?
exactly. That's exactly it too. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
how did you overcome that piece? Like,
Um, in terms of having parents have concerns, I try to spotlight
mm,
um for them that it's the changes that kind of I kind of take certain moments, and then I kind of reflect that back to them. Like I'll take a moment where maybe a kiddo was pushing their limits in something, and the resilience that it took. Like maybe they failed the first time, in terms of building a fort, and the kids are working together, and something happened, and it came down, and whatnot. um but then they had to redesign and communicate with one another, and redesign it and rebuild it. And
mm,
so I would spotlight moments like that to parents, to just say, hey, listen, they're learning something meaningful in different ways, that maybe we don't always see or recognize, but the natural world allows them and gives them that freedom and space to design and recreate and communicate and collaborate and fail and redesign and put it together again. And in those moments, they're building resilience in themselves. And that's kind of, so I take kind of situations and try to
mhm.
reflect it back to the parents. If the parents have questions, or, well, I saw this happen, or I saw that happen, or not really sure how I feel about that. You know what I mean? I kind of take
Mhm.
the situations that I see, and I pull the good and the nuggets out of it to kind of reflect back to the parents what I see taking place for the kids.
Yes, we can totally dig into every domain of development, every social, emotional
Oh, yes,
learning that's happening in the moment.
absolutely. Yes, on so many different levels.
Yes.
Yes, even just balance, even everything.
Pa
Yeah.
patience, patience, just
Pardon?
observing, like
Patience.
all
Yeah.
it's all
Yeah.
there. So
Communicating, taking turns, or, and then it's not even sometimes about connecting with the natural world. It's interpersonal relationships too, and building those bridges and strengths,
yes,
you know.
conflict resolution, all that, which
Yeah.
I think everyone listening and all of us for sure that yeah, those social
Yeah.
emotional skills that happen in time and space when we can just trust that it will be close by enough to be invited in to help if necessary.
Yeah.
Um, that's the true learning of early childhood. So,
Yeah.
and finding those parents that believe, and it's a process, it's a journey for them too,
It
as
is.
for us,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah. They have to let go too a bit,
they do.
Yeah.
Um, and just being able to, like you said, explain to them what's going on. Yet, nope, we didn't do any worksheets. There's nothing I can hand you that proves
Yeah.
that they sat and
Mhm.
colored the T for Tuesday. Like that
Yeah.
doesn't.
No, exactly. Because we're so
Yeah.
conditioned that way in the world that we live in, right? So,
Yes.
yeah.
Um, a, a little plug in there. I've been thinking about a lot about sometimes why we struggle. Um, I feel like the higher degree sometimes struggles even more because we get more focused and deep in our beliefs, in our methodology, but educators who struggle to kind of let go and let the process unfold,
Yep.
part of that is because I believe that's been their environment for so long. They've been told
Hmm.
what to do, how to do it, check the box. You didn't do it right, do it again,
Yeah.
and so that's kind of what they know to like do to others. And it takes such courage and abandonment to try
Yeah.
this new way. So, um,
Hmm.
you
Hmm.
know, everyone listening, just try it. And you don't have to have it perfect. Get the support you need. That's what we're saying here.
Yeah.
Um,
100%.
yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Number three, what do you wish you would have known at the beginning when you started your journey that would be helpful to our audience that you can share?
Um, what do I wish that I knew at the beginning? I guess it's similar that I didn't need to have it all figured out.
Hmm.
Um, and that I could, I guess, trust myself in
Hmm.
the situation, trust what I felt I needed or wanted to bring to the table, the experiences that I wanted the children to have. So I guess trusting in me.
Mm.
Um, hmm, what else? Um, I guess also just knowing sooner that most things, it works out kind of in the end, even if you have a concern or whatnot, um, or a day doesn't go as you had planned. The people or the children experience it, take away um, lessons on levels that I wouldn't have anticipated. So it's still a win. You know what I mean? Even if I look at the situation and I don't feel like I had organized it well enough from my standards, or on my
Mhm.
expectations, still realizing that in the end, the majority of the time, the children take home valuable experiences and lessons.
Well, yes, I love that. That is such a golden nugget. Like, even if the day doesn't go as we designed,
Hmm.
they took things away that we can't even imagine,
Yeah.
multiple things away that
Hmm.
we
Hmm.
probably did too in our own subconscious.
Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Cool. So yeah, you said that like if the day doesn't go as designed, that's okay. And then just self-trust.
Self-trust.
So
Yeah.
that's amazing.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. All right. Anything else you would like to share?
Um, oh,
Okay.
I
So
think that's it.
how
Thank
can
you so much.
people, yeah, we're not quite done. How can people reach out to you and find you and support you and all that good stuff?
I do have a web page
Okay.
there. It's wildfireenvironmental.ca. So all of my programming is on there and my contact information is on there, email. Um, and, very happy to connect with like-minded people, to share ideas, to give support, um, that kind of thing. So,
All right. Everybody
yep.
listening, go check out her website and see the amazing things she's doing. It's a beautiful website, by the way, and
Thank you
just
so much.
feel inspired. I mean, we can
Yes.
all do this to some degree of creating these spaces for kiddos and for ourselves and our community. And then for those with established schools, what I do is I help nature school founders and their teams get on the same page, deepen their understanding of behavior so they can approach children's challenging behaviors with unity from a needs-based perspective. So they're reinforcing the right things so that your school can continue to look like you designed it in the first place. Because I remember when I had my school frustrations sometimes shifted it, and the overwhelm and challenging behaviors are the number one reason that nature schools,
Mm.
or sorry, that educators quit, whether it's a staff or a founder themselves. So I will post my links also in the description along with Nat's. And if you want to reach out to either one of us, amazing. Everyone in this series is here to help, be a guide in some capacity. So thank you, Nat, so much, Natalie, so much
Yeah,
for
that's great.
being
Yep.
here and doing the work you're doing and being a vulnerable model for those coming up, because we had our guides and now we're guides for
Yeah.
others. And
Yeah, that's exactly. Yeah.
yeah, and we're all
Yep.
changing our corners of the world one step at a time.
One
So
step at a time.
thank you for
Thank
being
you so
here.
much.
Thank you everyone for listening, and we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.